Hello everyone. This tutorial video is a continuation of XML Schema Definition. So in this tutorial video, I will be discussing about attributes inside an element, or simply how to define in an XML schema file the attribute, and also how to define restrictions, specifically the following restrictions inside an XML Schema Definition file. But before that, if you are not yet subscribed in this channel, please do subscribe and hit on the notification bell so that you will be notified of the new video or new videos that I'm going to upload in this channel. And so, like I said, this is a continuation of the XML Schema Definition tutorial video that I have created or I have uploaded in this channel. Please do watch that before you will watch this, so that you will have a better understanding of XML Schema Definition. So for the sake of continuity, I will be using the same schema file, or yes, the schema file, and as well as the XML document that we have used in our previous video. So it will be this one here, this XML file here, and this schema file here. So this XML document here, or the definition for this XML document here, will be this one here. And so when we try to validate this, let's try to validate it first if it is still working. So validate, so it's still valid. So as you can see, the elements are simple elements, and so you will just define them in your XSD file as something like this, simple element as well. Okay, so what if you have attributes now? So each of your elements, or maybe one or two of your elements, will have an attribute. So how do we define those attributes here in this schema file here? So let's say, for example, here in this name here, we will have an attribute address. Let's say this is Los Angeles. This is just an example, so let it be like this. Right, so there is an attribute, it's called address, for the element name. So how do we define it here in our XSD file? For sure, let's see, let's validate. So the attribute address is not allowed. Why? Because it is not defined here. Okay, so let's define it here. So the first thing that you will do is, because it's no longer a simple element, no? The name now, it's no longer a simple element. It's not considered a simple element because it has an attribute. So what happened now, the name element or the element name have a data and one attribute. You can have two or more than one attributes. So in this case, we have only one attribute. So how do we define that? So if you go back now to your XSD file here, so what you will do is you have to remove this one now because it has a data and attribute. So it will no longer become a simple element. And so therefore, you will be having something like this. So you have to make sure that you now have the ending element. Okay, so AA, that's the name of our namespace, or the namespace used or we defined here. And so we will be using the AA element. So it will become like this. The next thing is you will be using again the complex type. So it will be somewhere here. And so it will become like that. But this time, because our element have an attribute and data, so we will be using mixed equal true. Right? So it will become like this. The next is you will be using now the attribute element. So you will define now. So attribute, what is the name of the attribute? Address. Right? So you will be using the name attribute of element attribute. So it will become like this. So the element that you will use in your XSD will be attribute, and you will use the attribute name to define the attribute that you used here in your XML document. And so let's save it like this. Let's see if it is going to run. You have to save it. And also make sure that you are here in your XML document. Your cursor is here. Let's try to validate now. So now it's valid. Right? So because you now have defined the attribute. So again, you have to make sure that the element name will be defined as something like this. So you will use the element, right? And then it should have an ending element here. And inside it, you have to use complex type, and inside the complex type, attribute. Take note, the complex type should have mixed equal true this time, because your element name have a data, which is this one, John Smith, and has an attribute address. So it will be something like this. Alright, so take note also, company, phone, and date card, and salary are still considered simple elements, so they will still become like this. They will still be like this without any change. So, okay, so now an attribute can be required. The value can be required, or it can be a default, or it could be fixed. So for instance, it is required, right? Because by default, it's not required. So it may be there or may not be there. So, but in this case, it is there. No? But if you will notice our second record here, right? Our second data here, it doesn't use the element or the, I'm sorry about that, the attribute name. So just like this, it will work. But if you specify now that it is required, then this record here should have an address attribute. Okay, so if it is only like this, it is optional. If you put like this here, if you place this one here, so your address attribute is just optional. You may put it there, or you may place it there, or you may not place it there. And so you want it to become required, so you have to use equal required with double quotation. And so when you save now and validate, so it's missing. It's required, but it is missing. So you are now forced to make sure that it is there. Here on our second record. Sorry, here in our name here. Alright, so it will be like that. Now, there is another one. Default and the fix. So let's talk about default first. Default will mean, as the name implies, default. So meaning to say, let's let's put it first. Default means if you did not specify it, just like what happened here in our second record here, it means the attribute address will have a value of Los Angeles. So let's try to validate it, and it's still valid. So that's the meaning of that. So here in our second record here, or in our second name here, it doesn't use the address element or attribute, I mean. And so the default value will be Los Angeles because it was defined here, Los Angeles. Okay, so that's the meaning of that. Another thing about default is that you may change the value. Let's say address, or let's say, let's have it here. The address here will be, let's say, Chicago. Let's see. Let's validate here. Okay, so this simply means that the address can be any, the element can be any, the address attribute can be any value, but if you did not specify it, the default value will be used, which is Los Angeles. That's the meaning of that, right? And then there is another one. It's called the fix. If you use fix, it means the value will always be Los Angeles. So in this case, we will have a problem here because address is equal to Chicago, but your fixed value should be Los Angeles. So when we validate now, we will have a error here. Okay, so because the fixed value will always be Los Angeles. So let's have it. So I'm going to save now. All right, plugins and validate now. It's valid. Okay. If you did not specify, just like default, if you did not specify or you did not use the attribute address, so it will use the fixed value Los Angeles, just like default. The only difference is in the default and fixed is in the default, you can specify any value, right? That's the default. But in the fix, it should always follow whatever you define here in the XSD file. So like for example here, Los Angeles. So if you put any name, even just single character, it won't accept it. And so when we validate it, an error will appear. And so therefore, you have to follow the fixed value. It's right over there. Okay, so it will be something like this. So that is the meaning of this use, default, and fixed attribute. Now, let's add some restrictions. Restrictions can be any of the following. And restrictions can be used in attributes, and it can also be used in elements. So let's use first in attribute. Let's use some of these restrictions in attribute. Okay, so let's see that one. Okay, let's say I will add a restriction about length. Okay, let's use length. What is length? Exact number of characters allowed. Okay, so for instance, for the address, the allowed length that I'm going to use will be maximum of, let's say, 10 characters only. So how do we use that as our restriction? So if we have restriction now for the attributes, so it will become something like this now. So this will no longer work because it will become like this now. Okay. So you have to make sure this time that you have the beginning and ending attribute, and that is for the attribute name. Okay, so it will become like that. The next thing that you have to consider is the simple type. You have to add simple type. And you have something like this. And inside this will be your restriction now. So you have to add now your restriction. So you will be using the restriction, and it must define also the data type. So in this case, we're talking about address, so it will be characters, so it will become string. So it will be like this. So there will be an ending element for this. So as you can see, if you will have restriction now, so your attribute should have an ending attribute, something like this. Use the attribute element, and in that attribute, you have to define now there also the name of the attribute, which is address. Okay, so as you can see here, address. Now inside the attribute, you have to use simple type, and inside the simple type, you will be defining now your restriction by using the restriction element. And in that restriction element, you have to make sure that you use the correct data type for your restriction. Okay, for your attribute. No? So inside this will be your restriction. Your restriction can be any of this. Okay, so any of this. That would depend now on the value of your attribute. So for instance, we will be using the restriction length. What is length? Length means exact number of characters allowed. Exact number of characters allowed. So meaning to say, it should be exact. Okay, so for instance, let's say here, I will be using this time AA, and then length value is equal to, let's say, Los Angeles. Now, how many characters for Los Angeles? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. 11 characters. And so we have this error, and let's see why we have this error. Well, simply because the error was this, base. So it should be based on the, without the D. I'm sorry about that. So let's save it again, and let's try to run or validate. So as you can see, it's now valid. Alright, so that's the meaning of that. And it's valid, so because it is 11 characters. So if you add one more, let's validate, and it's no longer allowed because exactly you must have an 11 characters. It's now 12. So if you reduce now the number of characters, this time it's only 10. Same way, it should not be accepting it. So here, your restriction is that for the attribute address, it should be with the length of 11 characters, exactly 11 characters. So for your company here, for your second record here, it should also be any 11 characters. Okay, so it's going to be like that. So let's say address here. By the way, again, you notice there is no address here, and it is still valid. Why? Because we have removed here. That is just fine, because in our attribute here, it did not specify anything, no? So if we put here use equal required, just like I mentioned a while ago, so it should be working fine now. You see, it is working fine now. The attribute address is required but missing. This is good here, but this one is not good because it's not there, because we said required. Okay, so if you don't put the required, it will become optional, just like what I said a while ago. So you will be forced to put it here. So let's say address is equal to same Los Angeles. Based on our restriction, it should be any name, but it will be 11 characters. Okay, so it can be New Orleans. Let's say New Orleans. Let's see. Is it possible? So 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. So this is still possible. So I'm going to save and validate now. Still, it's going to work. So it is possible that you have restriction and you will be using use, fix, or default here. Okay, so it's going to be like that. That's the meaning of the length restriction. Then we have here Maxlen. We have also min length. No? So max length, minimum characters allowed, or sorry, maximum characters allowed, and min length, minimum characters allowed. Okay, so for example, we can say here, instead of length, we will use max length. Let's say max length. Okay, so let's use max length. Okay, so it's good. Max length of 11. That means that's the maximum length. Okay, so for instance here, maximum characters allowed up to 11. Okay, so meaning to say, 11 is the maximum length. So if you go beyond that, let's say I'm going to add 1 here. So that makes it, the total length now is 12. Let's see. It's now invalid. Okay, so you can use the max length restriction to define or to restrict the number of characters up to that maximum value, or the max length, and then the value, whatever you specify in that value, that will be the maximum length. In the same way, when we say minimum length or the min length, this means the minimum length. Okay, so if you specify now here, let's say 5, the minimum length will be 5. And so these are more than 5 characters, so this will just be fine. This one also, this will just be fine. So when you validate now, and it's still valid. Before you validate, by the way, before you validate, make sure that you save it, the changes that you made, and to validate it, it's going to be like this. Okay, so that's the min length. So they are very self-explanatory. They are very easy to use. Just you have to mention that this restriction should be inside the restriction element. So we're done with the length, we're done with the maximum length and min length. Okay. By the way, the min length, max length, and the length can be any characters. It's not only letters. As you can see, I have a number here that will just be fine. Including space is counted as one character. Okay. So we're done with this, and this. Okay. So if you have another attribute, it's possible that you have another attribute. Let's have another attribute for the name. Let's call it age. Okay. So let's say the age will be something like, of course, it will be a number. So there you go. So our XML will be something like this now. Okay. So we have an element. It's called name, and this time it's two attributes. We have added age attribute, and the value is 20. But it is not yet defined here in our XSD file. So how do we define that? So we have already the attribute address here defined in our XSD file. So for your next attribute, you have to define it here, right after the address attribute. So it will be better, well, you can just copy it. Okay, I will make it not required. I will just make it optional. All right, the age will be optional, so I will be saying age here. All right, so, and then it will be like this. And again, you have to make sure that you use complex type, mix equal true. Oh, I'm sorry, it should be, I got a little bit confused. It should be simple type here. There you go. And you have to make sure that, there you go. Because you already have the complex type, no? So here. Right? So it is inside the name element. And we are just adding attributes. So all the attributes will be inside the name element. And you have this defined already complex type. So all the attributes will now be inside the complex type. So as you can see, we're done with the address and we're doing now the age. So simple type, and then inside will be your restriction. So I will just be copying this, and restriction will be something like this. I will just copy also this so that I will save time in typing. And the base will now become integer because our data for our age is integer. So it will be something like this. And then our restriction now. So I think I will just copy again this one so that I will not be typing again. So our restriction will be, let's say, total digits. What do you mean by total digits? Total digits means maximum number of digits allowed. So the maximum digits allowed. So for instance, you will be saying 3 here. So the maximum digit, only number, all right, should be 3. All right, that's the maximum. So for instance, we have specified here 20. So let's see if it is going to follow this restriction here. So we save our XML document. This time we validate now. Line 22. By the way, we did not change. Okay, we have here. Okay, we have here 3, right? But we have to change this to what we're going to use is total digits, right? So let's say total digits. Okay, so it will be like this. So this means that total digits means maximum number of digits allowed. All right, that's the meaning of total digits. Okay, so let's try to validate now. And it's valid. Okay, so total digits means maximum digits allowed. We only use 2, that's allowed. Okay, so someone reached 120 years old and still valid. So let's see, validate now, and still valid. If you use 4 numbers this time, if you use more than 3 numbers now, let's save, and it should not accept it. Why? Because the digits here are now 4. You have specified only here 3. Okay, so if your restriction again is maximum digits allowed is only 3, so this is how you will do it, by using total digits restriction. So again, total digits means maximum digits allowed. So therefore, if 3, I can use 2, or I can even use 1. So again, you save it and validate now. So it's valid. Once again, before you validate, you make sure that you save your XSD file and your XML file. And after that, you can now validate. That's the meaning of total digits. Okay, so maximum number of digits allowed. Right? So what about we're done with the length? No, not yet. We're done with the length. We're done with maximum length. We're done with minimum length. This time, fraction digits. Okay, fraction digits. Fraction digits, this refers to decimal numbers, right? Or numbers with decimal points or value. Okay, so let's apply these fraction digits to here, salary. Okay, so let's move out of attributes now, but these are the example of attributes that we have discussed. Okay, so again, the restrictions can be applied in attributes, and it can also be applied to the elements. The same way, just this time, they are elements. All right, so both can be used, the restrictions can be used in attributes and elements, as you can see here. So for this one, these are attributes, and you can also apply it in elements. All right, so let's apply that restriction, okay, fraction digits, to our element salary. Okay, and so salary is here. Okay, so salary is here. There you go. Here, this one here. Salary is here. So let's apply that restriction. What is that restriction again? Fraction digit. Okay, I will just be copying it. I will just be pasting it there so that I know. So fraction digit, no? Okay, so to do that, again, you don't need this. Okay, so what you need is the ending element. Again, it's no longer a simple element because it has restriction, and so therefore it will become like this now. Okay, so there you go here. Okay, so salary, fraction digit, meaning maximum decimal or fraction digit. Okay, maximum. All right, so let's see now. The next thing that you will do is, again, because it has some restriction, okay, so you will be using simple element or simple type. It will be here, and you need it again here as the ending element right here. Okay, so the next now is restriction. So we'll just be copying this so that we will not be typing it. Here it is. All right. Our base now, it's no longer integer but decimal. Okay, so because our value is a value with a whole number and decimal fraction. Okay, so don't forget that you need to put now the ending element. Oops, so it will be like this. Ending element for restriction. So it's going to be like this. Inside the restriction will be your fraction digit now. So it will be something like AA fraction digits. A value, let's say value of 3. So something like this. So that's for salary. I'm going to remove this one now also. So this is for the salary. So again, salary is no longer an attribute, it's now an element. So we can also restrict the values of an element, just such as this one. So this means that we are using fraction digits. This means that we can specify maximum decimal or fraction digits allowed. We can allow the maximum digits we can use. I mean, maximum decimal number we can use. Maximum, so 3. All right, so 3, up to 3 we can use. So if we validate now, there you go, it's valid. All right, so it will be like that. If you used, let's say, more than 3, let's save it again. I saved, validate, and it will have this error message. It will not accept it. Can I use 5? I mean 2. Can I use 2 decimal? Let's validate. Definitely you can, because fraction digit means maximum. So 1 you can use, 2 or 3 decimal numbers. So that is fraction digits. You can also use it again. All these restrictions can be used inside an attribute. I mean, for an attribute or to the attributes and elements. Okay, so it's going to be like this. We can also use total digits to allow the number of We can also allow, or we can also use the total digits. Okay. By the way, you can put many restrictions, more than one restriction for a particular element or attribute. Okay, so just like this, you just have to put or place the restriction inside the restriction element. So for example here, let's use total digit. All right, here value is equal to, let's say 6. Okay, 6. The meaning of this one, aside from the one that I have mentioned, total digits refers to the maximum, no? Maximum number of digits allowed, okay, for the whole number or numbers with decimal fraction. Okay, so it will count the whole numbers and the decimal numbers. So here we have here 700.55. So this is only 5. So is it allowed? So let us see. First of all, I should be here. I have to save my XML and validate now. And it's still valid because we have 6 here. Let's see 7,000. Let's see if it is possible. Validate. Now, it's still valid. What about 70,000? Let's say. Right? So it's no longer valid. Why? Because you have specified 6. So total digits actually can be used to count, no? To specify the maximum numbers from the left, I mean the whole numbers, and also for the fraction digit or the decimal part of that number. So we have specified here 6. How many numbers we have used? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and 7. So 7 already. So it's going to be like this. So what we did for our restriction is that the fraction digit can have a maximum of 3 and the total digits will be maximum of 6. Both for the whole number and for the decimal. It will count both. Right? So all in all, it should be 6 for the whole number and for the decimal number. Okay, so will this be allowed? I have 3. Okay, fine. And I have 4 here. So that makes it 7. All in all, our numbers now are 7. Okay, so is that allowed? So let's see. It's not allowed because we have specified only 6 here. Okay, so you can perhaps remove one of the number here. So now it's 6. 6 numbers. All right, so let's see. Validate. So it's valid. All right, can I use 5 only? Of course, because total digits means maximum allowed, no? So we have specified 6, but we only use 5. So 70.555. Okay, so once again, you can put more than one restriction for a particular attribute or a particular element. Okay, so as you can see here, just make sure that those are inside the restriction element. Okay, so we have covered already total digits, length, fraction digits, max length, min length. Okay, let's talk about min inclusive or max exclusive. All right, max inclusive, min inclusive. So let's say, again, we will specify it here. Okay, so here in the salary, I can put here min, oops, sorry. I'm going to copy this only so that I will not type anymore. Min inclusive. What do you mean by this? This means the minimum value. All right, the minimum value. So for instance, the minimum value will be around 10. Okay, so you can specify minimum value of 10. So if you specify 9, that should not be allowed. So 10, let's see. So we have 70. It should be fine, right? So there you go, it's fine. But if I specify here 9, 9.555, let's specify, it's no longer valid because the value is 9.55. You specified here the minimum value should be 10 or 10.00 and so on. Okay, so again, we have 3 restrictions here. Okay, so that's the meaning of that from 10. Okay, so you can also put max inclusive. That would mean up to a particular value. So usually min inclusive, max inclusive, they are used normally, or you can use this to specify range of value for numbers. Okay, so for instance, I would like to have the minimum as 10, but the maximum is only 100. Okay, so if we now go here, this is good now. Our value here, no, it's not good because we have 9 here. It will not still be validated because it's 9. Our minimum should be 10. So if you make it 90 and you save and you validate again, that would mean, oops, wait. Okay. We have that error because we have specified min here, so it should be max. Okay. So here we have to specify max inclusive. So 90 here, 0.555, and max here, inclusive value 100, that would mean this is valid now, right? Okay, so let's see. Make sure you are here, by the way, and validate now. Okay, so let's see again. Validate. Okay, so we have a mistake here. Why? Because our salary here is 950 for the second record. It did not match here, no? The restriction did not allow, no, this value because our value is 950, so it didn't allow. So okay, so that's the meaning of 100 here. Okay, so if we allow it, let's say let's make it 1000. So minimum is 10, maximum is 1000. So validate now, and it should be fine. So you can use either only this, you want to specify only, restrict only the minimum value, or you want to restrict only the maximum value. You can specify only this. Okay, so you can remove this if you want to specify only maximum value, or you can specify only minimum value, or you can specify maximum value and minimum value. That means it's a range. So 10 to 1000. That's all there is. All right. So again, if you remove this, maximum value will be 1000. So therefore, if you put here 1950, that would mean no. Right? So it will not accept. Okay, so that's the meaning of that. So 950, that would mean fine, good. All right. So you can use this min inclusive, max inclusive as a range value for range values. Right. So it's going to be like that. Now there is another one which is similar to this min inclusive and max inclusive. This one is exclusive. Okay, the only difference is that you have to have a +1, and then for the max exclusive, it will be -1. For instance, all right, it's always +1 for min inclusive, and for the max exclusive, that would be -1. No, min exclusive, that would be +1. Max exclusive, that would be -1 to the value. It will start from there. So, for instance, let us remove this one. All right, I will just remarks. Okay, so just copy here. So instead of min inclusive, I will be using min exclusive. I want a value of minimum value of 10. Okay, so the minimum value of 10, so which means if we put 10 here, min exclusive value equal 10, let's see what will happen. Is this fine? Still fine. Okay, so I'm going to change this to about 9. Let's see. It's no longer allowed. Okay, so 9 is no longer allowed. What about 10? Exactly 10. Okay, so let's see. Validate. It's no longer valid. Why? Because the value you specify here, it should be +1. So that means it will start from 11. All right, if you will be using exclusive. But if you want a value, minimum value of 10, then you have to specify this one as 9. Okay, so because it's always +1. So this time, if you put it 9, if you place there 9 and validate now, that would mean something like this. It's valid now, right? So that's the difference between the two. No? So min exclusive, min inclusive. For the maximum value, let's say max exclusive this time, you will be using, let's say, 100. Okay, so let's see. Or let's say 1000. Okay, so what do you mean by that? Okay, so let's try 1000 right over here. Will this be accepted? Let's see. It's not accepted. Why? Because it will only accept up to 999. Okay, that's why I put here should be -1. No, up to this value -1. So this value -1, so that is 999. Okay, so that's the meaning of that. Okay, so you cannot put 1000 now. So 999 will just be fine. And so when you validate now, it will become like this. All right. So that's how it is. Okay, so it's like that. So it's up to you now which one you will use. All right. A lot of people are saying they will be using, if it is range problem or range restriction, probably they will be just be using min and max inclusive, no? Because the value you specify here, that is where it starts the range. So if you say 10 to 1000, that means you can put a value or you can place a value between 10 to 1000. That's for the min inclusive. All right, so it will be more easier. But some people, they also prefer using min inclusive, min exclusive and max exclusive. So just don't forget the difference. No? Min exclusive will be from that value +1 that will be the allowed one. And for the max exclusive, that will be from that value that you specify -1. That is the allowed value. All right. So it will be something like that. So therefore, again, let's try to validate our, and it should be good. Okay. So I think we have covered all of this except now the pattern. The last one will be the pattern. All right. So pattern is a very easy one. Let us see. Let's say, let's have something different. Okay, so this time let us add another one. No? So let's say here, let us add another element here. Let's call it code, a simple element. Okay, so I'll be having here, let's say 1, 2, 3. Right, so therefore also here I will be putting it here. So again, we added one element. So this one will not work anymore because we have added element here, but we did not specify the definition here. So I will just be copying this. Let's see. Okay, so somewhere over here. So I will be putting here code. Let's see if it's going to work. And it's good. Okay, so it's good. So it's defined now here. All right. So let's add some restriction to this. So if you would like to have a restriction to it, again, you must use now the ending element. So element, and then the name of the element is code. It's going to be like this. And make sure that you use the simple type. Right, so next is the simple type now, and another one here, and you have to put now your restriction. So your restriction will be something like this. Okay, so your restriction, let's say it's a string. Okay, though it's a number, but we can say string. Numbers can also be considered string. So let's try to do that, and we have something like this here. So again, it has some restrictions, so it became like this. Okay, and then inside will become simple type and then restriction. So inside the restriction will be your pattern restriction. No? So the pattern restriction will follow your regular expression. It should match the regular expression. Okay, so let's try to have that. So something like this here. Okay, so instead of total digits, I will be using pattern here. Okay, and then the value. Okay, so for instance, I want only, all right, the pattern that I want is only any number, all right, any number from 0 to 9. Any number, all right, any number from 0 to 9. So I can say here the value, which is going to be something like this, from 0 to 9. So I will be using square bracket and ending square bracket, which means the characters inside the square bracket are the only characters allowed. No? So for instance, again, I would like to have, let's say like this, any 3 numbers from 0 to 9. Any 3 numbers. So I'm going to say something like this, right? And I will say here 3. That means 3 numbers. So I want 3 numbers any number from 0, any combination of 3 numbers from 0 to 9. So let's see if it is correct. So we have to save XML, validate now. So it's still okay, as you can see. So this is the pattern here. Okay, so again, the square bracket, anything that you put in the square bracket are the characters. No? The characters that you put inside the square bracket are the only characters allowed. Alright? And right after that, it will be a number enclosed in curly brackets that would signify the exact number of characters. Alright? So, for instance, if you only specify here 2, and again, let's save our XSD. I save our XSD. I save our XML. Validate now. And it will not accept it. Why? You specified here 3 numbers from 0 to 9, but you only specify here 2 numbers. So it should be exactly 3. That's the meaning of that. So it should match this regular expression here. Alright. Some, they would put like this: 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. So all the characters here are the only characters allowed. And the number of characters that you will put will be 3, if this is your restriction. So this is your restriction now, so your XML should follow that. So again, validate now, and it's valid. So it's good. Up to 3. Now the shortcut of this 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 would be 0-9. Okay, so it's going to be like this. So when you run now, it will be the same thing. Oops. Again, when you see this one here, that means your cursor is not placed here. So you just have to place it here and plugins, validate now. So it should show this one here. Alright. So that's the meaning of that. Now, this is 0 to 9. Alright. Any 3 numbers from 0 to 9. What if I want only one number? Right? If you only want one number, let's say one number only, any one number from 0 to 9. So you just have to put here 1. Alright? Okay, so you just have to put here 1. That would mean, oops, again, sorry. Here, it should be here, and it should not be valid. Sorry, it should be valid, yes. Okay, so here it is. Okay, so any number, okay, in the, okay, so, what about this one here? Any one number from 0 to 9, okay, only one, so I will just put 1 here. So let us remove this one here. Okay, I will not need this anymore. Okay, let's see if it is correct. Alright. So this one here, this means that any one, no? It should be one number. Any from 0 to 9. So validate now. Oops, again. I am here, my cursor is here, I should be here. When you see that error, you should place your cursor here and make sure you save, by the way, and validate now. Okay, so that's a mistake. Why? Because you specify here 1, but you have here 3. So it should be any number from 0 to 9, but it will only be one number. So you save this and validate now. There you go. So it should match the regular expression here. Or you may specify also, if it is only one, the default is actually one. So you may specify also something like this, no? Or better yet, I will, all right, so I will put it this way so that you will see the, all right, so right over here. All right, so you may remove that one because the default is always one. So this one, all right, this restriction and this restriction will be the same, and that is to place a value, and that value will be from 0 to 9 only, and it should be one number only. All right, so validate now, and you have something like this. Okay, so another one would be, let's have another restriction, pattern restriction. Okay, so let's say letters A, B, C, all capital. Okay, here D, E, F. So it's the reverse of this. Okay, it's the reverse of this. I mean, this time it's only number. So any 3 letters, all right, from A to Z, Z. No? So your pattern will be something like this, 3. There you go. So it's something like this. Okay, so you have to place your cursor here and validate now, and it's still valid. So this is our pattern now. Again, this means any 3 letters from A to Z. If you only need one, again, you just have to remove something like that. Okay, so if you did not specify number of characters, that's automatically 1. All right, so if you specify 3, okay, 3 characters. Specify 1, so that's 1 character. All right, so it's the same with our previous examples here. All right, so that's number. So that's how the 3 letters from A to Z restriction. So this is the restriction. Let's say, let's have another one. Let's say, the pattern that I want, okay, the pattern that I want is something like this. Any 3 letters, all right, any 3 small letters from from A to Z. All right, by the way, this one is, all right, from A to Z. This one is capital letters, by the way. All right, okay, so here small letters A to Z. So that means it's the same, just this time on the small letters like this. All right, so okay, so this will not be accepted. This will not be accepted because we said, or we placed here small A to Z or Z. So that's the problem here. All right, so it should be small letters only. Okay, so something like this, A, B, C, or whatever you want, D, F, any characters, let's say W, 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 any characters from A to Z, small letters only, and that would mean valid. Okay, so it's going to be like this. Okay, another pattern will be something like this. You can restrict your pattern into something like this. Again, this pattern or restriction can be done in an ordinary element or in a attribute value. All right, so we're doing it in a element, in an element. So let's have another restriction pattern. So let's say, okay, any two small letters, right? So let's see like this. Okay, followed any two small letters, all right? Any two small letters, okay, followed by any two numbers. All right, so any two letters, that's it, and then any two numbers, that's it. Exactly like this. So two letters first, any two small letters first, and any two numbers. So it should be like that. So let's say 0 and 9, and then AZ. All right, what about this? It should be letters first, sorry. AZ, and then here one, 0 to 9. What about this one here? Let's say B and E, and then over here is 1 and 0. Is this valid? It should be valid, and it's valid. Yeah. So anything not matching this will be invalid. Okay, so that's the meaning of that. So if you put the letters first, I mean the numbers first, that will be invalid now. Let's see. It's now invalid. Why? Because you have mentioned here letters first, A to Z, any two small letters, and then followed by any two numbers. Here you have specified otherwise, no? So you have to put you put here numbers first and then letters. So you're not following the restriction now here. So you have to follow the restriction. So it should match this. Always match this. Okay? So another one would be, let's have another one. Okay. Let's say between, the code will be anything between M or F, capital letter. Either M or F. That's the code. For instance, that's the data that we need to process. All right. So what will happen is that, let's see. Okay, so value is either M or F only. That's the restriction. Okay, so if that is your restriction, then it will be something like this. Now your restriction can be value, okay, MF, and you don't need to specify the number of characters because the automatic is 1. So you can just say MF like this. Okay, let's see if it is valid. Let's validate. And it's valid because it means it will get 1, or it will only accept 1 character between M or F. Always remember, any character that you place inside the square bracket are the only characters allowed or accepted. So it's going to be like this. If you placed 1 here, that will still be fine. Okay, so that will still be fine because, there you go, see, because you only have M or F as the value. And so this is fine. Or do not specify anymore the 1, and that would be fine. Okay. Now, if you don't know the number of characters, no? If you are not certain about the number of characters, what do you do? Let's say, for instance, the code here is MEF and the code here is F C D Z. So you are not certain. This is 3 and this is more than 3 characters. So you are not certain. So how do we do that? Okay, not certain of the number of characters. All right, so allowed will be any capital letters but not certain. All right, on the number of characters. All right, you are not certain, you're not sure how many characters, but it should be all capital letters. All right, so what will be the restriction now? The restriction will be, I will just copy this and paste it here. All right, so something like this. So the pattern will be, so you can say, again, allowed will be any capital letter or letters, sorry. Yeah, any capital letters, but not certain on the number of characters. So A, so you can say here A to Z, all right? A to Z or Z. And then you can just put here asterisk, meaning to say you are not certain how many characters to be there, to be placed as your data, but it should be capital letters. So let's see now. I'm going to save this. Also your XML, you save and validate now. And it's still valid. Okay, so it's going to be like that. Right. Now, another one would be you are not certain, okay, of the number of characters, but this time it has small letters. Allowed will be any letters, no? Any letters. All right, that would be small and capital. But you are not certain of the number of characters. But you are not certain on the number of characters. So you can specify something like this: A to Z and A to Z, capital A to Z and small a to Z. It doesn't matter. So you can put here, okay, so I'm going to save first. You can put here A, you can put here B, here you can put here W, here, anywhere. Small, combination, okay, but you are not certain. Okay, so you save now. This is your data. All right, so plugins and validate now. So it's still valid. Again, any. All right, so it could be like this. So this can be applied to names, no? Names where the name starts with a capital letter and then followed by small letters, right? That will be fine for this one, right? But how about names with some spaces, especially a name, no? A complete name. Let's say you have the first name and the second name, so you will have space in between the first name and the second name. So how do you do that? Well, to do that, it will only be simple as this. All right, so I will remark this one first. Okay, so to do that, it will be something like this. So okay, so name with first and last name. All right, but not certain on the length, huh? But not certain on the length of characters. So you can just place space there. All right, name with first name and last name, or a complete name. All right. So for instance, let's save this one. For instance, let's have it here. Let's say, let's have an NBA player. Let's say LeBron James. And then here, we have here Dwight Howard. Alright. So in terms of length, they are not the same, but they have space in the middle, first name and second name or last name. So it's going to be like that. So space is now allowed. So you have put here the space. So again, remember, anything you put inside parentheses, square bracket, are the ones allowed. Right, so when we validate now here, and it's valid. Alright, so it's going to be like that. So I guess I have covered all these topics here, right? What else? Okay, if you will have a validation or a pattern, restriction pattern, let's say, okay, so let's say the pattern is, let's say, AB-001- or something like any capital letter followed by any number, right? 4 numbers, and then followed by a dash, and then followed by a small letter, right? So something like this. Pattern is XX, that means capital XX, that means any capital letters, any 2 capital letters, followed by a dash, then followed by any 4 numbers, and then followed by a dash, followed by a small letter. So what will be the pattern for that? So the pattern for that will be something like this. From A to Z, that would mean 2. So this is for the 2x here. And then the dash will be something like this. Then followed by any 2 numbers, 4 numbers from 0 to 9. And it will be 4. And followed by a dash again. There you go. And followed by any letter from A to Z. So it will be A-Z. It will be something like this. Alright, so let's check it again. So you have here any 2 capital letters followed by the dash, and then followed by any 4 numbers, followed by the dash, and then followed by any letter from A to Z, small letters A to Z. Okay, so let's try to save that one here, and then this one here. So let's change this one here. So let's see, let's say A to Z, alright, AZ dash 1 2 3 4 dash let's say B. Okay, what about here? Okay, this will be invalid because see, it's not following. Let's validate it first. Alright, so XML tools, validate. So there's a problem with the second record, as you can see here, alright, with this data. So this one is good, but this one is not good because it did not follow our pattern restriction. So let's have it changed. Let's say dash 8 3 2 3 1 dash, let's call it T. Save. Alright, let's validate now, and it's valid. Okay, so it's going to be like that. So if you try to not follow the restriction, let's say the last character, it's not a letter but it's a number, so when you save and validate, it should not be valid because you did not follow here. The last character should be any small letter, let's say Q. That is just fine. And Validate now. That will be good now. Okay, so that's the pattern. Okay, so again, all of these restrictions can be applied in attribute or in an element. And pattern, again, is something like a regular expression that needs to be matched. It should match your data in your element or your data in your attribute values in your XML document, of course. Okay, so I hope you have learned a lot in this tutorial video. All right, so if you have comments, please place your comment in the comment section below. And if you are not yet subscribed again in this channel, please do subscribe so that you will be notified of the new video that I'm going to upload. And well, I guess that's it. See you on my next video. Thank you very much for watching.